All right. Hello and welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans. My name is Bill Soroka. I've missed you guys so much. So good to be here today. And it is November 1st, 2022. I can't believe this year is already almost over. Guys, Tuesday Notary Titans is your time to connect with experts in the field and ask the questions that you'd like to have answered. We can talk about situations, how to get business, how to pivot or shift in this interesting economy we have right now. We can talk about just about anything you'd like. You can learn anything you'd like to know about me at notarycoach.com, and my co-host, Laura Biewer, going once, Biewer, anyone? She'll be on right here shortly. Guys, the best way for this to work is to use the raise hand feature in Zoom. And then I'll call on you. You can tell us what state you're from and then ask your question. So let's jump in. I'm sure Laura will be here anytime soon. Gia, I have seen your hand up already for 15 minutes. Thanks for your patience. How can we help today?
Happy Tuesday, everybody. You all are looking beautiful. Hope all is well with everybody. Bill, I'm so happy you're on the mend.
Thank you.
It's been a while, but I'll go right into my question. I'm in California, and I have two questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
So I had a signing. It was a Hawaii purchase, right? I think it was a purchase. And it was numbered. The document in question was numbered 1 through 6. It was an apartment deed for Hawaii. The signers signed was page number 4. Page number 5 was an apostille, and page number 6 was the attached notary form where they wanted me to notarize it. It was a Hawaii acknowledgement. The problem that I was having was that the apostille was page number 5 and they had numbered the pages, and I wasn't sure how to handle notarizing on page number 6, because page number 5 was that apostille and it was blank, and so I was just very unsure. And after going back and forth with escrow, back forth, finally they let me attach a California acknowledgement. But I wanted to know how I should have handled that if they would have said, no, you can't attach a California acknowledgement because the receiving agency doesn't like it. I just have questions about it. It was so confusing.
Yeah, okay, good question. And I'd love to tap into California specific expertise. And I know, Laura, you came in late on that one. So I wondered if Matt, can I put you in the hot seat on that one?
Sure. This comes up from time to time, and I know the confusion and chaos it causes. So 2 things you need to know about Hawaii is they often like to use these sneaky hybrid certificates, which we cannot use in California. And the other thing is Hawaii will not accept a jurat. So the default for Hawaii notarizations is to go with the acknowledgement. And if the receiving party would ever say, well, we're not going to accept that, then you should point them to their reciprocity notarial law that says as long as the notarial act is completed under statute in the jurisdiction where the notary is, they have to accept it. Does that answer your question, Gia?
It kind of does. I guess when you say hybrid, I'm confused. Does hybrid mean because it was an apostille on page number 5 and page number 6 was the Hawaii notarial form, which they attempted to be a California acknowledgement, and it was not correct because there was some other thing in there where I couldn't even accept it, even if the apostille wasn't there. I think they had capacity there or something. It was really fuzzy. But what is a hybrid certificate? What does that mean? I guess I'm kind of confused on that one.
Sure, I'll answer that one, and then I'll ask you a follow-up question. A hybrid certificate is one that calls for an acknowledgement and subscribed and sworn to language. So it's like a jurat and an acknowledgement all in one, but we can't use those in California. So my follow-up question is, you're referring there's an apostille in the package. My only question
Yes.
is, how would they have obtained the apostille without it having ever not been notarized?
I have no idea. It was so quirky. Again, page number 5 it said apostille, and it was all blank. And that was my
Oh, okay.
argument.
So they
That was my
haven't
argument.
gotten the apostille yet. That's just where they want the clerk to attach the apostille.
Right, but my argument was because they numbered the pages 1 through 6, and the signature pages for the signers was page number 4. Number 5 was a blank apostille. Number 6 was a notary attempt at a California notarial acknowledgement, which was really fubby. But the escrow officer gave me so much pushback with, me not
So-
wanting to use that notarial certificate, because they
So-
said
Well,
Gia,
if
if you
it's,
don't- I'm sorry. I
I'm
just
sorry.
want to break down let's break it into different categories of,
Okay.
let's just talk about Matt and even Laura, if you can address her concern. What triggered this was that there was a blank apostille in between where her notary certificate was and the rest of the document. So how would you handle that?
well, that's perfectly fine, because the apostille is going to go on top of the notarial certificate anyway. It doesn't matter what order the notarial certificate is. Sometimes I put mine on top so that the apostille goes on the very top of the document when it goes on to the receiving party. But sometimes they're already pre-printed in the back, and then of course the apostille would go in front of your notarial certificate in the back. So the order of where the certificate falls doesn't have any effect on the notarization or the soon to come apostille.
And so Gia's, I think, concerned because we don't want to notarize a document that's incomplete, right? Because who knows what could happen.
Yes, that's
So
my concern.
how do we balance
All right,
that
so
out?
can
Laura, what
I-
do you say on that?
Yeah, so having a blank apostille cover sheet does not make your document blank. This is an addendum document that the signer is not signing for. And when we're concerned about blank spaces, we're concerned about the information that the signer's committing themselves to on the document itself. And the fact that they happen to put the apostille first before my certificate, it doesn't matter, because that document isn't for the signer.
Got it. Okay,
For
thank
another
you.
government agency.
Thank you. That's what the confusion was for me. Okay, thank you for the clarity.
Tag
It's only
team.
because it wasn't for the signer that I could have it blank and not be concerned.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Gia, what a great question. Thank you so much for bringing that up. And Matt, thanks for stepping in to the hot seat on that one. And Laura, it's great to see you. You want to introduce yourself real quick?
Hi, everyone. So if you don't possibly know me, my name is Laura, and I'm the founder of Coach Me Laura, co-founder of Notary Business Builder, and your weekly co-host for TNT. So glad to be with you guys today.
Laura, you have an announcement, kind of a cool one from the National Notary Association.
Yeah.
You want to share that?
Absolutely. So the National Notary Association is hosting a National Notary Public Day event, and Bill will be posting the link, the Zoom link for it. It's on November 7th at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. They will be having, it's virtual live. They'll be having mystery guests joining them throughout their time on the air. They'll be having prizes that they'll be giving away as well. And I'm not quite sure what other surprises they have up their sleeve, but Nicola Jackson and Susie Sivkoff will be the co-host for that. So if you have time on November 7, join them. And we have the link posted for you today. I think it's going to be a good time.
I think it is. I love the style they're going to run it, almost like a talk show. It's more about gratitude to the notary community. So there's going to be some really cool prizes. So if you just want to hang out with people who get you, I'd highly recommend you do that. Totally free to join, of course, for the first 3,000 notaries. So they're expecting 3,000 notaries on the call. And if it gets bigger than that, they're going to broadcast to YouTube as well. So it could even be bigger than that. I'm going to post the link to that, but it's a registration link on Zoom. So when you're on Zoom and you click a Zoom link, sometimes that can cause some technological confusion. So I'm going to save that for the end, or you guys can copy and paste it. We'll try it and register for that later after this Zoom call. Okay, great. So let's go. Dan Brewer in Oregon. How's it going, Dan?
Hey, good. How you guys doing? How's everybody doing today?
Fantastic. What's going on? How can we help?
I have two questions. First one deals with a split signing I got. I was part one, and it was a loan modification, and it simply was two different copies of the new deed of trust. And since it was part one of a split signing, their certificate was filled out. I scratched out name number 2, initialed it, because I was only notarizing one name that's in a certificate, right? I did certificates right. I got it shipped back. It got sent back because the first page of the deed of trust, the title page, if you will, where it lists who's supposed to sign,
Right.
I apparently am supposed to cross out name number 1 on that as well. My feeling was that I'm responsible for that certificate where it says state of, county of. If I'm going to be messing with the deed of trust actual verbiage on page 1 when I'm dealing with page 5, that makes me a lawyer or a document preparer. And so I did it because that's what they wanted and that's how we finished the job. But my question is, was I given, it made me feel like, hey, I think I was given some wrong instructions here. So that's my first question.
Okay, let's hold right there. So this sounds wonky to me. I never have to scratch out, even on the on the signature line or on the deed of trust. That's not our position and role to change that. So I think your flags went up correctly. Like I'm even trying to think through the logic behind it. If they were going to try to record that, Laura, they couldn't even record a deed with a scratched out name on the front, could they?
Yeah, they can. They could have a strike with, but it wouldn't be the notary. So I've facilitated that with the signer creating the strike with initials, and it can be recorded that way. I've been directed. I would never do it on my own. It's not something I would look to do. I would be making a phone call to say, look, I only got one person here, but you've got both on this deed. It needs to match.
But there still is 2 people on the deed. They just signed it different times.
Right. Well, and it
Why
could
would they
be
scratch one off?
recorded. It could be recorded that way, and it might not be. But the thing is it's not my job to know how that's going to work out. That's why I make a call. I always make a call when I see there's something weird going on like that, and ask them, how are you planning to handle this? Do you want me to leave these 2 people on there? Do you have different instructions? I am going to strike them from my certificate, so you're only going to have 1 for me on this deed. And if they take the other person, when that's notarized and they just they put them together, I don't know, maybe they're recording 2 separate deeds.
Right.
There were,
Right.
I was signing one full set of copies.
Right.
An identical set of copies were going to somebody else signing the same day in Texas.
Yeah. So we don't know what they were planning to do in the end. It's not my job to know. So the person who said, hey, you should have caught this, I don't think they're right. I don't think it's the notary's job to go back and mess around with the document unless we have specific instruction. They've told us here, this is what we need done. Otherwise, I don't do it.
That's exactly what I did. So I'm glad I did it right. My second question is for Laura, and it deals with credible witnesses. Thankfully, I'm getting a lot of hospital business. And up in Oregon, we can allow, for the moment, we can allow expired licenses up to 5 years, but that's going to end at the end of this year because of a COVID exception. But typically it's 3 years. And this was like way expired. So we used a credible witness. The credible witness certificate, this was actually a strange one because it was a handwritten power of attorney, which makes me nervous anyway, but they did it and we used a certificate. So that 1-page document, we had to use a loose certificate, which turned it into a 2-page document.
Right.
Now I've got a credible witness certificate to go along with this. Does that certificate is it just become a part of the document now? When I use a credible witness, a certificate for a credible witness?
So I would need to look up Oregon, but my thought is that it is not the document record, it is the notary's record. because it'd be like the journal, it would go in the journal, because just like you record IDs in the journal, a credible witness is a journal. You know, it's part of your record, not part of the document record. That's my thought, but I would need to look up your state statute
Okay.
to see what it says. But that's where I'd be leaning, is that it doesn't go with the document.
Does a credible witness require a separate certificate?
Again, I would have to look up Oregon to tell
Okay.
you what that says specifically.
All
I
right.
don't recall that you needed that. I mean, I know Florida does, but I don't recall that you did as
You
well.
know, every time I go into the hospital and I see something that's a little off, like I've had 3 issues in there so far. Every single one has been around a credible witness and not having the right ID. The
Right.
answer is make sure they have the right ID and then don't worry about a credible witness. But we have to do what we have to do. And I seem to be each time handling it differently, and I leave with hesitation that I did it right. So yeah, perhaps a call to the SOS is in order.
I mean, that's an important question, Daniel, is who's holding on to that? But the purpose is ID, and ID stays with notary. It doesn't go with document. So that's why I lean that way.
Yeah, and the answer might just be it's not a certificate, but just document the crap out of it in your journal. So
Well, yeah, if you're not required in your state, even further, I mean, you could create one, but then even for sure, it stays with the journal.
all right, that's fair enough. Hey, everybody, Notary Masters is Thursday, Toastmasters for notaries, Thursday, 9:30. And then next Thursday, following Thursday, the 10th, we're having a special open house for Notary Masters. I see one of our special speaking guests for that open house is here. So Alicia's waving her hand. Griff, I think I saw him on somewhere. I think he went dark because he's probably on, I think he's on, got a call or something, but it's going to be fun, and it's going to lead right into Laura's symposium. So everybody, we'll see you, hopefully see you this Thursday. If not, certainly at a future event, Thursdays, 9:30, notarymasters.org. Bill, I see just stuck it in the chat. Thanks, everybody. And Laura, thank you very much. Every time I talk to you, I'm smarter. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for being here. And since you brought it up, Laura, you want to tell everybody about Symposium?
Yeah, guess what, guys? We're in November, and it's coming up in honor of National Notary Day. The 7th, we are having our event on November 11th. That's the evening of a Friday, 5:30 to 7:30, and then all day on Saturday, including a margarita party to finish it off on Saturday evening. And I made a bunch of extra welcome boxes just in case, and I only have a few left. I've used them all. I just have a few left. So if you think, holy smokes, how did I miss that? It's not too late. Go to notarysymposium.com and you can register. And so I'm watching every day to see if there's anything coming through, and then driving down to the shipping center to drop off what I can. And then when I run out, I run out. So that's what's going on there. It's very exciting. I just spoke with Vanessa Terry. She's our opening speaker on Friday evening. And she's going to talk about how the insides need to be taken care of and how that connects with the outside, right? So we're not worried about the outside world. We're worried about what's going on here, because that leads us in the right direction and attracts to us what we're looking for. So it's going to be a great kickoff, and I hope I see everybody there.
Awesome. Well, I'm really looking forward to it too. Guys, many of you know the keynote speaker is Hal Elrod, the author of The Miracle Morning. If you're ever faced with adversity, if life is not going according to plan, the fundamentals he teaches through the Savers and The Miracle Morning can be life-changing. And he's going to talk a little bit about that, plus so much more. And I get to share how those daily dues have been adjusted and modified throughout the years for continued success. So I hope to see you there. Go to notarysymposium.com. Crystal Timberlake, thank you so much for your patience. Want to unmute, tell us what state you're in and how we can help.
Hello. I am in Long Beach, California. And my question, I think it may be very specific to Laura. So I've been doing a lot of general notary work, and I'm coming across situations where people want copies certified. And I know in California, we can only do the power of attorney and the power of attorney, I'm blanking. But anyway, I came across an article, Laura, that you wrote, and I was doing a lot of research on this. And I found the copy certification by document custodian. And I'm really kind of nervous about using that document, but I want to get your opinion on what can be used, because I know you stated that it would not be in our best interest to tell them that this is the document that they should use. Or also that document, I've only seen it with a jurat. I've not seen it as an acknowledgement. And so I just wanted to get your feedback and how, basically, I would like to know how you would handle it, because now that I'm doing more general notary work, I'm just coming across these kind of situations a lot more.
Okay, great, Crystal. So let me just back up. That document used to exist with the NNA,
Right.
and it was with the jurat. And when the laws changed in 2015 and they added that notary box at the top, that notice box, the NNA made a decision. They said, we evaluated that particular one because it really had a notarial act plus an area for a statement that was prefabricated by the NNA that the signer would finish off filling out and signing. And then the jurat would be performed, which was the real act. The notary was not certifying that the document was anything. The problem that they determined was that it was too much like the unauthorized practice of law, because they started the statement, they decided the notarial act, and so they yanked it from their inventory and stopped recommending it. So that's where that came from. Of course, once things are on the internet, they live forever, right? So we're still going to find stuff. So here's what we talk about with notaries who have requests for something, driver's license, passport, whatever it is, to certify a copy. And we let the signer know what we can do. What we can do is let them develop their own statement about the trueness of the copy and sign it. Once they do that, they can choose, based on how we explain what we can do, the two different notarial acts, and we cannot tell them which would be right, because of course we wouldn't know. And then the other thing we need to let them know is that we do not control the acceptance of this at the other end, because we don't know what the receiving agency is going to want or even accept, because in other states, it is acceptable to certify copies of those kinds of documents. And there you might get pushback because in the state of California, we're restricted to one kind of document only. So to do that, NNA does have a jurat with affiant statement. I don't know if you've seen that on their website, where it's just blank lines and they can just write whatever they want, right? And that does happen to have a jurat, but it isn't necessarily for that purpose. First, you have to find out, do they want to write a statement? Will the receiving agency accept that? And does the receiving agency have an expectation of what kind of notarial act? So that needs to be discovered and determined first. If they decide, they say, write a statement and just prove you signed it, it's an acknowledgement, then you would attach a loose acknowledgement to their statement rather than using the jurat with affiant statement. But it all starts with a conversation with the signer. And this goes for anybody who's living in a state that does not have copy certification. California is not the only one. So that they have an idea of what they could go do, find out. They might have to go find out some things before they can come back to you and determine what will work for them here. So does that make sense?
Yes. So would you personally use either of those documents or present them and say, this, I've used this in the past, or this is something that could be accepted? I know the wording is very important. Or would you want them to type something up or write something up prior to meeting with you, and then you notarize that statement?
So All right, so first of all, I would never present them that old document, custodian document. That's just not in my bag. I don't even carry it.
Okay.
What I tell them is here are choices that you have with a California notary. You can write a statement about trueness of the copy. You can sign it. I can notarize it one of two ways. Don't know if it's acceptable to receiving agency, you'll need to check. Don't know which is the right notarial act, you'll need to check. And then they have to create it themselves, sign it, and then I'll provide the notarial act that they request.
And then did the jurat with the affiant statement, is that something you would ever present?
I
Prior-
have that if they tell me, okay, I'll write the statement and I want to swear it's true, I have those in my bag. And then I could say, okay, go ahead, write your statement on here if they don't want a separate piece of paper.
I understand. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Great question, Crystal. You know what I love about your response, Laura, is you find a way to yes. Because I think there's a lot of notaries will just say, nope, can't do it. And then that's the end of the phone, end of the conversation. But you find a way to help be of service to people. And there's always, well, not always, but there's a lot of workarounds we have at our disposal. All right, Crystal, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Love to see all these hands that popped up, guys.
Hey.
This is awesome. All right, Jennifer Cooper, always a pleasure to see you from California. How can we help today?
Hi, guys. Bill, you look great. It's good to see both of you. I have a question. I think I know the answer, but I need to ask you guys just to be sure. In California, Laura, can we notarize I-9s?
No. Oops, sorry.
We said that, but that's correct.
Okay.
No.
Sorry, that was Crystal. I'm going to mute now.
If they have an I-9 in California that's requiring a notarization, where do I send them?
I-9s are not notarized.
Right.
There are
I know.
ancillary documents that are connected to I-9s that can be notarized, but who should be handling that is an immigration. If you're in California, a bonded immigration consultant, that's where they go.
Okay.
These people may or may not be attorneys, and they handle these kinds of documents. There is a lot of responsibility behind the scenes that the notary doesn't know about, handling anything to do with an I-9 form.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Okay. I just wanted to be, I wanted to be absolutely
Yeah.
clear in my own,
Absolutely.
for my own self. I said no, but
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure.
But then we
Thanks.
could tell them, when they say, well, where can I go? Go to a bonded immigration consultant or specialist. They can Google one to see if there's one in their area.
That's what I told her. Yeah.
And I do have a connection in Northern California who is a bonded immigration consultant. If you want her, she
Okay.
probably has a network of other.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Thanks, guys.
What an awesome opportunity to build your network. Another referral source for you. Guys, the more you can be a resource to your network, the longer lasting your business is going to be.
Absolutely.
If you have put one of these in your pocket, just like Laura just did for her Northern California lady, those those bonded and insured immigration specialists are all over California. Have one of those in your back pocket. Let's see. All right, Jennifer, great to see you. Thanks for being here. Gloria Crowell, thanks for being here. You want to unmute and tell everybody what state you're in?
Hi everyone, this is Gloria. I'm in Northern California. Hi Laura, hi Bill, good to see you guys. I have a question about the seller's affidavit and indemnity. A lot of times when we go to get this form signed by the person who's a seller, the state and county is in fact filled in. And I'm wondering, is this the state and county that I am notarizing, for example, California, or the state and county where the property is located?
Laura, in California specifically, is that usually the property location or?
Well, where is that venue she's talking about? So Gloria, is it at the top of the form or is it right part of your notarial wording?
Yep, right at the top.
So if you have the venue repeated in your notarial section, I believe it's the property at the top.
Got it. If it doesn't have the property address listed in the notarial section, then it probably is where I'm signing.
It is, but you can't use it because it's been separated with document. In California, we're not allowed to separate our notarial wording. The venue cannot be at the top of the page, even if that's what they meant. And then the rest of your wording after the signature line once our certificate starts, it goes to the end.
I see. All right. Thank you so much.
All right, great question. Thank you, Gloria. Cassandra Burton, it's so great to see you here. You want to unmute, tell everybody what state you're in and how we can help.
Thank you. I'm in Washington, D.C. And my question is a marketing type of question. I've been using the Google My Business, great. And I've been getting reviews, great. Lately though, people will not post because they'll say, this happened to me this morning. I asked her, did I give her 5-star service? Oh, yes, more than 5-star. Of course, I wanted to hear that. So I gave him, pointed my QR code to her. She tapped it and then she started and said, oh, wait a minute, I've got to go through my web, my Google, my profile name. This is public information. I don't have time for all of that. And so I just wonder, is there another way around that? Does it always have to be publicly posted? I guess is my question.
What a great question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's excellent. And I love that you've been exposed to this, because so when it comes to like Google Business Profile, I don't know of any way where it's not going to be public, right? Unless they set up a separate profile or anything like that. But that's why I recommend having a backup review process. So that might be Yelp, that might be LinkedIn, that might be just a form where they can do almost a testimonial review and maybe check a little box that says you have my permission to use this on your website. There's no wrong reviews, right? One way or the other, you can find a way to make that work. Even though if 1 out of 20 doesn't want to log into their Google account or doesn't have a Google account, you can still find a way to make use of that. The best way I've seen it done, and I've seen a couple notaries doing this, is they have 3 options. And they'll either randomly rotate them. So their Yelp gets plenty of reviews, their Google Business Profile gets reviews, their website or whatever else they have going on has reviews, or they just ask the customer, where do you like to post reviews? Okay. And some people say, I have no idea. And that might be a Yelp candidate. If they have a Gmail, you can just ask them, do you have a Gmail account? And then if they do, like most people, you can have them post a review there. And then also there's the LinkedIn recommendation option as well. That's a huge unused resource for getting recommendations and reviews. Laura, do you have any other suggestions on this?
No, I think you hit all that I would say.
Perfect. Oh yeah, Celicia mentioned Facebook as well. If you have a business page for your Facebook, you have a review section on there too. And that's another great option.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And congratulations on over 5-star service.
Thank you.
You got it. Yeah. All right, Mike, great to see you on.
How you feeling?
So much better, thank you.
Good. All right, so anyway, I'm in California. Is there ever an instance where the language in the notarial box says subscribed and sworn before me, and somebody says, I want an acknowledgement, I want this acknowledged, instead of you attaching a jurat?
Laura?
Well, I guess the details you're not providing it depends on what the signer, who's responsible for the document. If it's the signer and the signer says, I don't want to do that, I just need an acknowledgement, and they're directing me on the notarial act, I can certainly provide that. And I'd be noting that they requested this act instead of that. If they're not the hiring company, then I would let them know, then we need to talk to the hiring company because this is what was provided with the document. This is my instruction.
All right, well, here's the detail I didn't know was needed, but here it is. There's some business going around now where they're having you go out and have people sign a contract that's roughly 17 to 20 pages, that if in fact they're not selling their house right now, but if in fact they sell their house, that this company gets it. So if they somehow bypass them, this company is going to come in and put a lien in there and get their fee. So the language I gave you was in the document. After I did one, I heard from the company and they said, oh no, you don't need to go back and see the signer. Forgive me. But we wanted this acknowledged so we could record it. Because I guess the state kicked it back and they wouldn't record it as a jurat. And so I actually called the NNA hotline. They said, no, once you leave the table, whatever's done is cast in stone. If they want to change, you got to go back and no, you can't replace a jurat with an acknowledgement.
So Mike, yeah, that was an important detail because you're talking about after the fact information. I was answering as we're at the table and they're trying to make an adjustment.
Right. No, so my point is,
you're right, Mike, after the fact, we can't, doesn't matter what it is. I can't fix it. I can't change it.
Right.
I can't do anything but meet with the signer again and do it again.
right.
Like a whole brand new notarization.
My point, I guess the other second half of that is if in fact I step out and do some of these again, do I question the signing company? You want an acknowledgement, even though you haven't gone back to rewrite this contract, which is not my place. I said, but you want an acknowledgement or do you want a jurat? Do I ask them up front?
Well, if it's the same company and they're sending you the same document, I would be asking them, look, this is what happened last time. I want to know now because I can't fix it after the fact without doing the whole thing over. What do you want?
Right. So if in fact, so if the wording is still subscribed and sworn before, I mean, they say, no, we want an acknowledgement, then give them an acknowledgement.
I would document that I've been instructed to replace with an acknowledgement. I would not fill out the jurat. I would fill out the acknowledgement because that is what they need for recording. And I would just document that those were the instructions and hopefully they put the instructions in writing, such as in the confirmation. That would be a good place to have it, or an email that says, we want you to replace the current jurat on this document with an acknowledgement.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
I wonder if we can tag or piggyback on this a bit, Laura. Can you talk about whether or not you can do two different notarial acts for the same document?
You can perform two different notarial acts on the same document. So you could perform both an acknowledgement or an acknowledgement, either or both, if both were requested. Not that I think that's the right answer.
Right.
I would not just add another notarial act to the table. I would find out what is it do you need so that I execute. I don't need to spend more time and perform another notarial act because you're probably not going to get paid for that.
Right.
But
Would
yes, it is correct. You could do either or both.
In the California generic acknowledgement, in the lower left-hand box, would you actually write in requested acknowledgement?
That optional section is not really meant for that. I would just
that's what I'm asking.
It's not meant for that. So I would just fill it out. You need documentation to support why you have replaced that.
Okay.
So that means go back to the hiring company, either your confirmation or in a separate email that directs you to use this one instead of that one.
Okay. Got it.
Or
okay.
This one and that one. Just you need direction from them so that you're not the one making a decision.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Andrea, welcome. What state are you in and how can we help?
Oregon.
All right.
And I have a question. It's not really notarial act related. It's more of how does one get started in certifying elections for HOAs? Because I know that's something that notaries are sometimes asked to do. So how does one even get started in that?
I think you came to the right place. Laura has done quite a few write-ups and even some training on this. So Laura, do you have maybe just a quick three-step getting started suggestion?
Yeah, I think the first place is you need to see what your statutes are that govern the elections of homeowners associations for your state. and see there what the requirements are and who they have named as eligible to be in charge of that. Because it's state by state specific. So you need to know that first. You need to go there first and find out who is allowed to run their elections. It might be their management company. In that case, they're not going to need a notary.
Yeah.
Because they're not notarizing anything. That's where I'd start. Because if a notary is named as one of the potentials, now you can then go to step 2, which is, oh, okay, where are homeowners associations in my area, right? That are potentials to work with. And it's the management company is the contact typically. Some are HOAs, but most of them are management companies.
Okay, thank you.
Is that helpful? All right.
Yeah.
Great question, Andrea. Thank you. Phil Shannon, welcome up. Great to see you.
It is great to see you guys together. It seems like it's been way too long. So good to see you both in the same place at the same time. Looking forward to seeing you in a couple weeks at the Notary Symposium, the 7th.
Yes.
Am I right?
The
7th, 8th?
7th.
Well, it's the 12th.
Well, if you
Phil
count the
is
two.
the 11th.
Oh, Phil's the 11th.
He's on Friday night. He's somewhere else on the 12th.
Oh.
Yeah, I hope I'm not in trouble. Laura gave me permission, but I just want to mention everybody today, as always, 5 minutes after Tuesday, Notary Titans, I will be doing my short little Zoom presentation. Also want to apologize. About 3 weeks ago, we had a really big turnout and I did not save the chat. So there were 4 or 5 people that wanted me to get back to them and I did not. So shame on me. Save your chats when you do a Zoom. My very strong recommendation, but I didn't do that. You can text me and Bill's put the link there. We're going to talk about how to protect and grow your business, how to generate an additional source of income if that's what you're looking for. The last few months in particular, I've been able to help a lot of notaries generate some additional income, and many of them are in this room or in the Zoom today. So looking forward to it. Great to see you guys. We'll see you all a few minutes after TNT. Thanks.
Sounds good, Phil. Thank you so much. Matt Miller, welcome up again.
Thanks, Bill. I saw we had a number of California notaries on the call today, but I have some legislative news that affects everyone, and then just one little announcement. So I wanted to let everyone know that the Federal Secure Act that would have mandated bare bones remote online notarization on all the states and all notaries has been defeated. We were successful in lobbying our California congressional delegation to oppose that, so that states like mine and 6 others have more time to craft their unique approach to the experiment we call RON. So that's a real big win for our community. The second piece of legislative news is I have received confirmation from stakeholders in California that we are going to give it another try next year. So that's positive news for California.
Yeah.
And then one little announcement that I wanted to make was that I'll be joining Laura's Clubhouse group tonight to talk about how to prep your business for a recession. So you might want to stop by at 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time to join that conversation.
Fantastic. Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Great news and great work. And thanks for all you do to keep us updated and apprised on that stuff. Susanna, welcome up. Tell everybody what state you're in and how we can help.
Hi, how are you? I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm a brand new notary. I'm starting this journey. Then I got commissioned on July, and I have been doing, some signings for a company that is a company's friend. But I have find some, details that I want to have clarification. Like when I go to the signings, sometimes in the documents, the signers have mostly their first name and their first name and last name. And many of them doesn't have, the middle name or, that kind of issue. Like they have the driver license with one name, but the papers have another name that is missing the middle name or misspelling something. Then how I do, because I have been going to the escrows and telling like, look, this is what I found, this is misspelling or it's missing the middle name. And they told me like, oh no, you can notarize that one. It's because this is the name that they have recorded in the title. Then that's how it was recorded in the previous purchase, on the previous sale. And right now they're gonna keep that name, then just only notarize how it is in the driver license and make the signing. That's it. Then I have that issue, that question, like, okay, am I doing right? Or what I need to verify well with the names things, because, you know, they have those letters that I don't want to get wrong in it.
Right. Well, that's such a great question. First, welcome to the industry. Welcome to TNT. And thank you for asking a question, because this is a fundamental question that jams us all up. And Laura,
Yeah.
I'd love for you to step in and ask. I'm sure you have some clarifying questions
Yeah.
and some advice for her.
So, Susanna, most states, there's very few, so yours falls in the most states in this case, use what's called satisfactory evidence of identity.
Okay.
And that could be government issued ID. They could name what the government issued ID is, but in all of those cases, they don't say, and the name has to match the document. What it says is that it's reasonable for you to rely on the ID that was provided. So there are small variations that pose little risk for you, like a first name versus a nickname for the first name. You know, that's part of it, right? And then there's a little bit bigger. Maybe they're missing their middle name, or they've got the middle name, but it's not on the document. And then there's bigger risk, totally different last name, right? Because it was a maiden name or a previously married name. So based on your risk level, you will need to decide how much evidence do I need to feel confident that this ID is usable for me. So when it's small, you may not ask for anything like the nickname. But if it's more than that, what I would do is I would start asking, what else is in your wallet? If you tell me this is you, what do you have in your wallet that shows me your middle name? What do you have that shows me you've used this last name? What I'm looking for is supporting evidence. So for instance, I've got their face with this name on the driver's license, and then I see their face on another card that has a different name, right? Because it was before, you know, before they were married or before they changed the name. I wouldn't consider documents like a marriage license to be acceptable because there's no photo on it. So it's not helpful to me, right? But if they have other things in their wallet that does have that, that would be a way for me to reconcile it and to say, you know what, this ID is going to work. It's the right ID per my law. And I got some backup evidence that I feel confident that I can rely on the ID that was provided to me, that it's that person. So does that make sense?
Yes, because that happened exactly yesterday to me. Like I have a senior lady that have, you know, and all the documents was like Brenda F. Smith, but her driver license was Brenda P. Smith. And she told me like, oh no, sometimes I sign with F, sometimes I sign with a P. Then I told her, okay, that was your maiden name. And she told me, yes, that it was. And I told her, okay, you have another document that I can see that you used that name before. And she told me like, oh, I just only have my driver license, my health card, like the Medicaid card. It doesn't have a picture, but have the name, how she spelled normally. And as well as really old Costco card that, you know, you can see 20 years difference pictures in between driver license and Costco card, and even all the letters in the Costco card were kind of blurry. Then, but I can see, you know, the name. I say, okay, it's fine. This time we're gonna proceed because I see that you have another supporting IDs, and I see that is right, but you know, it was completely confusing for me.
So always, notaries, remember, you guys are in the seat at the table.
Mm-hmm.
You have to decide, not based on what title said or anybody else, how confident are you that this is that person? Because that's our job, is to prove this is the person who appeared in front of me,
Yeah.
right? So if you're not confident, when you look at her driver's license, was that her picture? It looks like her. If it says it's a woman, was it a woman in front of you? If it says she's 82 years old, you better not have somebody who's 40 in front of you. If it says she's 5'10", she better not be 5 foot, right? So there are things that are obvious on the driver's license that can make you feel more confident it's the same person. Then if you feel like you need more, then look at other supplemental ID.
Okay, I got it completely. Perfect. Yeah, thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you for being here, Susanna. Guys, we have a special guest that we're going to bring up here in about 2 minutes. So I'm going to, Tony, I'm going to go to your question first, and then Galaxy S20. We might not get to yours until the very end. Good to see you, Tony.
Hey, how you doing? So am I under pressure for 2 minutes with my question?
You are under pressure.
Hello, Laura. Hello, Bill. Hello, everyone.
Good.
My question, first one is the type of paper for printing out loan signing docs. Is there a requirement for that, or what paper do you use?
I use standard zero or copy paper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Second question is, I have a jurat stamp. I have an acknowledgement stamp. I heard there was a affidavit stamp, and is my question if I need to link to that, if you know a company that makes them, and if there's any other stamps that you use for general notary work, as far as stamps that I can order.
An affidavit stamp, yeah.
Yeah.
Laura, I know
So
you
an
have.
affidavit just means it's document. It's probably a statement. It's probably a pre-formed statement, and I'd be staying away from those because I don't want to start anybody's statement for them. So I cannot recommend anything for an affidavit statement. Other stamps that you're thinking about might be your name, comma, your title. You don't have to have that in Georgia. Other ones would be for the journal if you're looking for the word acknowledgement or jurat, but really, frankly, in Georgia, you're in Georgia, right?
Correct.
Tony, yeah. I think the acknowledgement wording and jurat wording would be the two primary stamps.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Bill, are
Just
you
wanted-
aware of an affidavit statement that?
Well, when you came to Georgia and you gave that real world class, someone in the class mentioned they had made a affidavit stamp. I got to look back through it, and
Yeah.
I was
So
just
yeah,
curious.
see attached certificate. That might be a stamp that you would use.
Yeah, I'll replay again.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Well, I hope I've been under 2 minutes.
Okay.
Thanks, Tony. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Guys, I want to, I'm going to introduce you to a gentleman that I met over the summer as I was beginning the process of my own estate planning. I was starting my living trust and got introduced he's an author of a book, Click Here When I Die. And we've since built a relationship. His technology is the only piece of my estate plan that I actually had in place in August when I had the pulmonary embolism that's kind of knocked me out here for the last couple of months. And it brought me such peace of mind knowing that the links to my bank accounts, passwords, all of this stuff that would be impossible to find was all in one place. And we're going to be collaborating for the next several years. And I want to bring him up and introduce and tell you about a special deal that we've got worked out just for notaries now. John Braddock, welcome up.
Thanks, Bill. Great to see you.
Yeah,
Hi,
likewise.
everyone.
Thanks for being here.
Of course.
John, I wonder if we could just tell everybody a little bit about how My Life in Wishes was created and the importance that you find with it.
Yeah, well, it was about 8 years ago. My father-in-law passed away unexpectedly. He lived a quarter mile up the street. And it was the first time my wife and I ever had to deal with taking care of final affairs of someone. And I don't know if anyone on the Zoom today has been through that. If you have, you know exactly what I'm speaking of. But it was like a scavenger hunt on steroids that took about a year to track down wills and bank accounts. And we found a safe deposit box key, but took us 2 weeks to find the bank that it was actually at. And I came to this realization that, you know, hey, 1 out of 1 of us are still going to die. We just don't know when. And I had this thought that, hey, if I didn't make it home tonight, would my wife or my children know what my end of life wishes are? Would they know how to locate and access all my important documents, like my trust, my life insurance policies? Would they be able to access all my online and digital identities with usernames and passwords and challenge questions? Not to mention, could they get into my iPhone and you know, get the 22,000 photos that I have up in iCloud, right? And what all those desires are, and all the things that are on auto pay and recurring pay that are on credit cards. That, you know, face it, we don't get bills in the mail at home anymore. And so my mission became to create a platform where if I didn't make it home tonight, literally at the touch of a button, my family would have access to everything that they need to know. It will provide them with time to grieve, hopefully, and mourn the loss, and eliminate the added stress, frustration, anxiety, confusion, not to mention time and expense of trying to find all of this information.
Yeah. And I think you absolutely nailed it with this technology. And what I love about it is how flexible it is. But guys, as I was even working with John through this and loading this content in here, and then when I had this pulmonary embolism, I had this time to sit with my thoughts, right? I had 6 days in the ICU, so I was doing the same thing. I was like, what if I had died? And then what happens if a notary dies? Like, guys, we have responsibilities for that. Lots of states mandate through statute what your heirs have a responsibility to do if a notary were to die. But most notaries don't even know what that is. So there's no way that our heirs are even going to think about what comes after the time when we die. And what's cool about what John has created through My Life and Wishes is that you can customize. You can add a link to the statute that says, hey, when I'm gone, read this statute and pay attention to the rules. You need to destroy my notary stamp. You need to turn in my notary journal. You get to add all of that in there, in addition to all the other incredible access that John just talked about, everything else that you can add to this. And I know we're running a little bit low on time today, but as I mentioned, John and I are going to be collaborating on this pretty big. We came up with a special offer just for notaries that we're going to be running. And you can check that out at notarycoach.com/legacy. And of course, I'll post that into the chat there for you. But the other thing that we worked with is I had to phone a friend over at the National Notary Association and talk to Nicola Jackson about all these other states and the rules that are surrounding this. And her and her team helped me compile a 13-page report that shows all the different statutes, rules, and even penalties that some of these states have for the heirs and representatives of notaries when they pass away or become incapacitated. In addition to that, because a lot of states don't get specific about this, so we created some of the best practices from the Model Notary Act and the Notary Public oh gosh, Laura, help me with that. Standards, professional standards. That's all listed there for you too. And I've got a free report. You can have access to that for free at notarycoach.com / well, I'm just going to post it in here. It's Death of a Notary with hyphens in it, but you can check that out as well. John, thank you so much for everything that you've made available to the notary community and the world. I think this is just one of those things that every household needs.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the time and the link that you posted. Everyone should go check that out because I know you've put together a special offer for them.
With your help, I really appreciate it. We all love a
I
good
appreciate
deal.
you.
Yep. Thank you, John. Laura, any closing words as we close out TNT for today?
Not in particular. Make it a good one, whatever's left of your day to day.
All right, awesome. Don't forget, you can see Phil Shannon. If you need the Zoom link for that, just visit notarycoach.com/TNT and scroll all the way to the bottom. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for growing yourself and your business on the Tuesday. We'll see you next week.